Welcome to In the Know with Steph and Joe. In the Know with Steph and Joe is all about small business development. These two entrepreneurs bring real-life experience, laughter, and, well, just a ton of knowledge on how to build your small business and make it thrive. After all, this is your creation. Now learn how to make it sing. In the Know with Steph and Joe airs Fridays at 3 p.m. right here on 216 The Net. Like, follow Steph's books and Restoration One of Cary, along with 216 The Net on Facebook, and subscribe to the 216 The Net YouTube channel. Welcome into In the Know with Steph and Joe. Today, fact-checking resumes. Welcome back to the Midwest, Steph. Glad that you made it back home.
I mean, out of the desert.
That desert air.
Did you?
Okay.
Yeah.
She left with.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, a little dry air. She left with Rich. She left with
the nasal sound, the dry air.
She left with Rich. She came home with Richie Flamingo.
We call him Mr. Flamingo.
Mr. Flamingo.
Thank you.
Yeah, the conference was amazing. I'll save it till the end of the show.
Yes.
And the what did you learn? I do have a few good up and coming release nuggets for that. QuickBooks is going to be doing some upgrades to the program. So
releases to shoot on us.
That's it.
I got the inside tips.
Just
tips.
Just
Of course,
tips.
The gentleman on screen that you're.
Oh,
that's gonna
wait. Sorry. Yeah, we have a pastor on board.
But yeah, I'll be very careful.
We need to be a little more
Why they laid that
conservative here as far as our linguistics. Brian, please.
Hey, good luck.
Bless you.
I just want to see where you're going to go with all of what you got laying out there. But and if it helps, it's former.
Out.
Yeah, it is former pastor. I was a preacher for 25 years before shifting gears into working with small businesses to help them ultimately increase their profits. That's my focus. So yeah, the pastoral. In fact, one of the things that's funny, I have another organization I do coaching just for churches in, but I make the majority of the content, but it's my friend who does the majority of the teaching. And his answer is because you're a little abrasive and we needed to church this stuff up a touch. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we know
you're fitting great here then today. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. So you like to help people with their resumes, right?
That's my favorite thing in the world. So I work and do two different things. I want to do some corporate recruiting for small businesses, and I help small businesses. And you read these stupid resumes, and I tell you, like, I'm just amazing how many times I just feel like I'm going bald right on the top just from trying to get through resumes. I'm like, you wrote that down for people to read? Like, are you serious? You did that? But
oh man,
the best are and I wish we had some examples, are the email addresses on them.
Yes. I got a resume today that says funloving5@yahoo.com.
Funloving5.
Yeah. Funloving5 is their email.
Funloving5.
I'm assuming it's like their family email. One guy had like iedogs.com or something. And I'm like,
at Gmail. 69 kitty at Gmail.
I always put on Tulip Dancer.
I'm still shocked when I get with at AOL. At AOL. It's still out there.
There it is.
Wow. Like, I don't mean to be like geriatrically wired in opposition to what you put there, but if you put at AOL, like, you are making a statement either about your commitment or your complete lack of technology awareness. But either way, I've seen a lot of them at AOL.
Hang on now. Wait, I will never judge somebody by their email domain.
You should.
If it's AOL, if it's wait, really, Brian? No. Because if somebody's wrote out AOL for that long, but they send an email that's very coherent, very put together.
I don't know. I still have my old email address is my maiden name, and Rich hates when I use that email address.
All I'm saying though is that
he's like, that person doesn't exist anymore for the last 10 years. Even if somebody
shows up with AOL, to me, AOL is like, hey, you're committed you rode this train for so long. Like, I'd rather have you come to me with AOL than some Gmail that you doesn't even relate to you because you're so late in the game.
Hello. Hi, Mom.
Hi,
Hey,
Mom.
Linda.
Sorry, we're getting Hi, Linda.
So what
Hi,
about when people don't have the correct phone number on their resume? Like I've had people send me their resume. I've scheduled a call with them, told them that I'm going to call them on the number that's listed on their resume, and they say, okay. Then I can't get a hold of them because it's the wrong number. So I sent them an email saying, hey, I don't think the phone number's right. And they're like, oh yeah, the phone number on my resume isn't correct. So like,
Yeah.
why? But then you're going to put in your, like, I don't know, your little paragraph about you page saying that you're detail orientated. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
So is in a resume, how important is it to y'all that that accuracy is important?
Yes. Like I am the worst to like
Yes.
when it comes to spelling and grammar, I am not your girl. So if I could point out those errors, it's bad. Like it's really bad.
Brian, how often do you come across that? And how often do you recommend people correct that?
It doesn't really mean that much to me when I'm looking to hire for a company, unless it's egregious. Like if it is just absolutely an atrocity, that's a different conversation. But most of the time, it doesn't bother me. What I get a lot more bothered when you send me a resume that in no way shows why I should hire you for the job that you sent it in for. But like, I get around a couple things like that. Yeah.
So you're more looking for content oriented to the job that is being applied for rather than actual grammar and spelling and all that.
Yeah, I prefer when people don't like. I don't like reading a resume where they write full sentences.
I'm with you on that.
Right.
Really?
Show me the bullet points. Make it like your key action word and what you did. Give me just give me the highlight and make it quantifiable. I'm good. I don't need it to be pretty. I don't need anything else. Just make it quantifiable.
Well, let me ask a question. How you all hired, right? Everybody on this has a microphone in front of them is hired. How much time do you spend on a resume looking at it?
15 seconds.
Well, yeah, I'm about the same way.
Yo, I'm like,
I
give myself a little bit more, like 60.
No,
I give myself a 1 minute.
Ooh.
I'm gonna read through it.
But I mean, what do you?
I'm gonna take my 15 seconds and I'm gonna do that 4 times.
your resume should not like be long enough for me to spell. Like I should be able to know
No. I'm doing
like
it.
timelines, what you did, and
15 seconds.
whatever.
So
I should be able to, and then I
resume,
could.
15
What?
seconds.
How about you, Brian? Where are you going?
When I'm reading them, I go into every one of them with the mindset of I've got 3 requirements before I ever start looking at it, and so I go straight to those top 3 requirements. So it's not uncommon to spend less than 5 seconds on a resume. If they clear the first 5 seconds, then I'm going to give them another 10 or 15, looking for the next set of requirements. And I think if I've ever cleared 45 seconds, they did something wrong or I did something wrong. But that's my general math on it.
So what about
I love that. I actually love that.
Do you guys get like the warm and fuzzies when they customize the cover letter to your company?
No.
I don't know that I've ever read a cover letter on
that.
anyone that I've ever been given.
No.
Really? I've had a few applicants where they've edited their cover, like they clearly edit their cover letter because it like will put my company name in there, and then they have like a little blurb about how they'd love to come and work, and they like checked out our website.
I would love
and then whatever
anybody in the contracting world.
It made me feel so special.
To customize.
I mean, I still didn't hire them, but it made me feel special.
The company they're being hired for.
Yeah, but they do it all through AI. If they're smart, there's AI software out there that you put your cover letter in, and it changes all the words and goes through and reads the stuff and puts it in for them for the cover letter. Like the only purpose of a cover letter for me, right? If you're the kind of business that's looking for someone who can follow instructions and you're trying to put out an application, trying to get people to do it, in your process, you're going to ask for a cover letter just to see if they'll follow instructions. And you're going to tell them, please send information to the following email address, again, just to see if they're going to follow instructions. So if you've got a super high detail position that you're looking for, I might ask for a cover letter for that. But I don't know that I've ever read a cover letter for any of the positions I have ever hired for anywhere. Other than if I thought the resume was an absolute atrocity, I'll read it for the humor. Like, show me what, if your resume is this bad, how horrible is your cover letter? So
I need an example for my next class on what not to do.
Right. So
all right, I will
cover
give
letter.
you one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you one. This is it's mind-boggling to me. Dude put out a resume, and in the resume, it was like a 4.5 page long resume. And it was this particular one was actually for a ministry position and in the resume, it was like, you know, I have no degree, but it doesn't matter. I've been touted as a great teacher for my whole career. And, you know, I tend to, you know, frustrate. And he goes to this whole big thing. And it's clear, like a few sentences in, like, you're just trying to say you're Jesus. Like, and he was like trying to make a joke about, he wrote the resume as though Jesus was writing the resume. And then his cover letter was Jesus writing to the church saying, if you'd like to talk, I can't really be available, but I know someone who can give me to you if you'll talk to, you know, Pastor Bob or whatever. The whole cover letter was like all in as though he was Jesus writing to get his friend Bob a job. And I'm like, dude, that is the worst.
Saying I'm Jesus, right?
That's great.
All right.
Mind-boggling.
Here's where I go when I first of all, Eric, how are you, Derek?
Hi, Eric.
Welcome in.
Hey, Eric.
Here's where I go when you said that, Steph. I went right to the commercial. I'm a dumbass man. That's Dumas.
Mr. Dumas.
Mr. Dumas.
Mr. Dumas.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he did it.
So when you guys get these kind of resumes, do you actually use them and take them and point them out to other people? Like, hey, don't do this. Do you ever use them as an example? Because I've done that before, because I've had people that have applied to me and I'm like, man, I really like you. I really want you to be good. You just got to adjust, because I can't hire you because I like you. I need to hire you because your paperwork and everything is in line as well. I.e., one of the
I have to like you to hire you. I can't, if I don't like you, but I like your resume, like, you'll never get a job with me.
But
like, I have to like you.
Is like, hey, I really like you.
I don't like
I'd
very
like to
many
hire
people.
you. However, I need your resume to be a little more in line with what I'm doing.
I do it all the time, Joe. Like especially when I'm recruiting in recruiting mode, and I saw, and Joe sends in his resume for this position, and I look at it and I'm like, I loved talking to you. I think you kind of had the prerequisites, but I need the resume to look better for the company I'm going to send it to, right? Because I'm playing middleman. I'll contact him back and go, in fact, I did this just recently, is the company we were hiring for wanted to have a specific degree. So I contacted them back and I'm like, hey, would you please put your education on your resume? They go, well, it is. I'm like, no, it's not. It says that you have a degree in science. Well, yeah, it's applied sciences. I'm like, that's not the same thing. And I need to know what the certificates are. So I've done that multiple times to go, I can't send your information on without this. So go back and rewrite it. And I want you to use these words or this idea and kind of
adjust your resume, right? Like, I really like you. I need you to change your resume.
Right.
Oh,
how do you really like them?
Eric or Derek or anybody else listening out there, I know Eric's firm is hiring. So if you want to put your link up to your job ad, since everybody's learning how to do proper resumes, put your link up, then you'll get some proper resumes.
So
here's
Brian here.
But Eric says that he appreciates a funny resume and he'll purposely put the funny one to the top of the list. Rich is the exact same way.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yes. He likes, if you can make him laugh in your resume, he has to at least meet you. Maybe not hire you, but at least meet you.
I have set several interviews with resumes that I'm like, I got to just meet this person, because if they are as dumb as their resume, this is going to be a wonderful time.
So now, wait, this is
true.
Kind of
That's so true.
This is the yin and the yang to what Brian and I were just talking about, in the sense of, like, you know, I will coach somebody to get their resume in order, but if I get a resume that is completely, I wouldn't call it off the wall, Brian. I call it more like,
I agree.
I call it isn't asking them to change your resume like asking someone to not do drugs to pass a drug test.
No, it's like giving them the synthetic urine. Crotch this. Crotch this. When you
It's called gator piss, and we don't do that. All right.
I feel like, okay, so for like Brian, I feel like it's different because
he's the middleman.
he
he's a
does that.
mentor.
But I'm just saying, like, for me as a business owner, like, if your resume isn't correct by the time it hits me, I'm not really going to coach you, fix that, do anything with you're an adult. Like, you've been through the classes.
I love that.
Like, you
See,
should
and I
know
will.
better.
I'll
But
make-
that's your
yeah.
job, though, when you're
No, even if I'm
recruiting,
hiring
like,
for
that's
me,
a whole different thing.
even if
Huh?
I'm hiring for
Brian,
me,
him and
I'll make them
Brian.
go back and rewrite it. Because even if I'm hiring for me, I still have to validate why that person. And I'll tell you the biggest reason I do it. It has nothing to do with the resume. In every interview I do, whether I'm hiring for me or hiring for another company, I need to see if you're coachable. So I'll make you change something that you've given me to see if you'll listen and to see if you're actually coachable, or or if you're just, if you're blowhard about something or whatever, and I will make you change something. Sometimes even I'll make you change something mid-interview on the way you're saying something for that reason, because I really want to know, will you listen? Will you be coachable? And if you're not going to be listening and you're not going to be coachable, I don't want you working, and I don't want to refer you to somebody else. So I'll ask them to change it, even if I kind of liked it.
Hey, Tulip Dancer at AOL.
I feel like
Hey, Tulip.
we're gonna try
Maybe
this.
you could change your email.
Can we send a
Here's
resume?
My
back?
point to that is I'm not looking to tell somebody to change their background. What I'm trying to tell them to do is adjust their wording.
Yes.
Right. So I like Eric's approach better.
Yeah.
Just kick it back and be like, do better. And then see what they reproduce and kick it back.
But you're not coaching or guiding them.
I'm not a coach.
Yeah, but
That's
why?
not my job.
Well, let me ask you
Well,
this,
when
Joe.
you hire them,
Hold on.
you are.
Right.
Hold on,
You want
hold
them to follow you as the leader, and I need to see if they will follow me as the leader.
Hold on just a second, though.
Okay.
Why are you so caught up on trying to help somebody correct their resume?
I'm not.
But you just said, yes, no, I would do this because
would
you're
do
coaching them.
Once.
Why? I see. To me,
Why
listen,
not give them the benefit of the doubt?
listen. To me, it's like showing up to your interview in a tuxedo, right? I mean, who
Right.
does that? Number one,
I love that though.
right?
If they did that.
Now, me, I look at I don't care, because in the financial world that I'm in banking, a trained monkey can be a teller, right? I mean, a trained monkey can be a banker. It doesn't really matter,
Fair.
right?
Yeah.
As long as you don't have a felony, we're going to get along, right? But I need to know if I can get along with you, because we're going to spend a lot of time. I'm going to spend more time with you than I do my wife on a day-to-day basis, right?
Relatively speaking,
Right.
Yeah.
Awake. Let's put it that way, right? So what I look at the basic thing I look at is if they're a job hopper or not. How long have you been at a job?
You're looking at the resume.
I look at the resume and to see how long they've held jobs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I look
Duration.
I look at that.
That's your industry.
And then the
Right.
gaps, though.
And if there's a big gap, correct.
Like the gaps.
That's
Like,
y'all's industry.
I'll look at
Yeah.
the gaps. I'll look at the job hopping.
Yeah.
And then I'll look at
I
the
look at those.
schooling part. But I've just determined that I need to do a better job at actually having them show me proof of their degree, because the last person that worked for me said that they had a bachelor's degree and they did not. And then they told me that they needed to modify their schedule because they have classes. Well, why do you have classes if you have a bachelor's degree? So like that was
Master?
I have seen that more than once. I've seen that
Yeah.
more than
Really?
once.
so I feel
Yeah.
Really?
like I need to start calling references or calling former employers, like really start kind of like doing my due diligence a little bit more. Like I feel like
Can you
I'm a little lazy.
can you check bachelors and make sure somebody's actually
Yeah.
achieved their bachelor's?
You
Like,
could contact
can you
the
call-
school.
I don't know. I'm asking now to
Yeah.
you and Brian because
Yeah.
you two have been burned.
I didn't get burned. I knew better walking into it, but I did see it happen, and I was able to do some research on it before. But it has happened on occasion. A lot of that really only comes down to, for me, is if the education matters. I mean, I looked at a position a while back where they had no education, but they had done the job I needed for 20 years. I don't care what your education was at that point. You could have been the one training the monkeys to be bank tellers for all I care.
Right.
That's not
It's
what
the
I needed.
lying.
Yeah.
I love that.
But like that lying part, like that, like I know I just feel like all resumes are a lie after all like this experience of being a business owner and doing these things. But like if you're going to lie to me now on your first impression, you're going to lie to me when you're working for me then too.
Yeah, which is why I say I don't pay that much attention to a lot of components of it. It's always every position has a different set of, everybody says, oh, these are my criteria. No, they aren't. What are your actual 2 or 3 things that have to be there? Like if they don't have to be there, then nothing else matters. So like for me, I'm telling you, on my opinion, even when I'm hiring for other people, I don't care about gaps in job. For most part, I don't care about the gaps. I do care about their, like I had one guy one time who's like, well, I've got 10 years experience. I'm like, no, you don't. You have 10 years experience or 2 years experience 5 times. That's what you've got. You've been working for 10 years. You've only done 2 years experience. You've just done it 5 different times. That's not the same thing.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one.
That kind of matters to me. But all I want to do is get to a 10-minute phone call with a person. I'm purely reading a resume to say, do I want to talk to you for 10 to 15 minutes? And if I don't want to, and once I'm on that phone call, that's what's going to matter to me more than anything else. If I don't want to talk to you for more than 10 or 15 minutes, I definitely don't want you sitting next to me in any work environment.
Yep. Right. But here's what Ted says. Ted, thanks for chiming in. Says, I have 2 most important areas I look for in resumes. Number 1 is references. Number 2 is gaps in employment. Then in the interview, I ask questions that tell me how they feel about the position they're applying for.
And while Ted did not divulge into the gaps in employment, right? I feel that was such a great point, Brian, on the fact of, 10 years does not mean if it's 2 years.
That's cool.
For 5 employees.
Yeah, you were a rookie 5 times.
And what it usually means is someone knows one model of how to do things, and they run they either know one model and they know how to come in and basically cookie cutter their model in, or it means they know how to be like a decent person up front. They do a year's worth of work, and it takes the company a year to make them miserable enough to leave. And so it's usually going to be one of those 2 things. Neither one of those do I want working for me.
Yeah.
God, that's such a great point.
I don't know.
Which I always looked at it. I guess I never looked at it that way or thought about it that way.
So what about our good friend Eric? What he says here. What about those people that lie about previous employment that you 100% cannot confirm? Like saying, you know what? Yeah, I managed Circuit City for 5 years. A Blockbuster Video ran that baby.
I worked at Blockbuster.
F&A Blockbuster went down. That means you're dick to me. Yeah, so you help them run them into the ground. That would be my response.
Oh, it wasn't my branch. My branch was the last one open. It was great. Family Video. I left Family Video.
Yeah, that goes back to what someone said there a minute ago. It goes back to the interview. You can find out real quick because, again, I don't really care where you worked or what you did. I care, do you understand what I need you to do? So if you worked at Circuit City and I bring you in and you're telling me how great it was and you know everything you need to know about VHS tapes, I'm really happy for you. But like that is not like I care about, do you know how to do the job I need you to do? And I can ask questions about your time at Circuit City. So tell me about the management model they put in place there. Tell me, was it an open flooring system or a closed floor system? Tell me about these other aspects. I can learn about. I don't really care if he does it. Even if he was lying in it, it would matter to me long term. But I can usually find that out through the right questions that will reveal, do they have the knowledge base to do the job? Because the problem with all of it is resumes are about the past. And realistically, the way most small businesses interview is also about the past. I don't care about your past. I care about our future. And so I need to know if you are going to be a part of our future, not your past.
Yeah.
I have a question. I don't know if you can see me on the screen, but I'm raising my hand.
Yes, Joe.
Brian, call me.
The people on the radio cannot.
Call me, Brian.
What's up, Joe?
Okay. So Brian, I have a question. Know what questions to ask in an interview?
Do you have like your top 5 favorite?
Like what you just said past. Everybody dwells on the past with the resume, but the interview's about the future or the hiring is about the future. So how do you discern your questions in an interview or the way you look at that resume, past versus future?
So my first question every single time is, hey, tell me about yourself. And that is the extent of the question. It is that in silence. And here's why. Because what I'm going to learn is what they value real fast. If they are super hyper focused, they're going to go, well, I've done this job, and they're going to repeat their resume to me, right? If they're more of a social person, they're going to tell me about some hobbies and some family. If they're more relatable, they're going to tell me about the friend they have. And so I'm going to learn more about what their values are by that one simple question. And I'm going to, if there were two things to utilize the most in interviews, it's not so much the question, it's using mirroring and labeling. That whatever you say, I'm going to repeat a word or two back to you and make you keep going, because about the third mirror is where I'll get the truth. And so I'm just going to repeat a word or phrase to you, back to you, but like in a question mark way. And then somewhere along the line, I'll go, so it sounds like you kind of did this, and you're going to do a label, sounds like this. And you can use that label. And here's a fun little technique to use is label it wrong, right? Oh, so they're at Circuit City. So it sounds like you were really in charge of all of the microfiche. Was that the main thing you focused on? Microfiche and VHS tapes? Right. Almost watching them get a little offended sometimes gives you insight as to how they handle interactions, but it makes them clarify, and clarity is where you get their true knowledge base. So it's mirroring, labeling, and tell me about yourself. Those three simple techniques, you can move through people and clarity real fast with those three techniques.
I have one question that I ask every interview. If you could be any superhero, who would you be and why?
Yeah, I asked them if they're DC or Marvel.
Yeah.
And
one of my
everybody
favorite
else-
variations on that.
Know, oh, you're out. You're DC. You're out. Yeah,
A great variation.
I know your
Huh?
affiliation. Yeah. Yes,
Yes,
she wants.
I need to know.
Affiliation.
It's if you could win a silver medal in any Olympic event, what would it be? Right.
Oh.
Silver medal.
Silver medal. Right. Well, do I want to be in curling where I get to have a team and still get to be fat and don't care, or do I need to really like exercise? And it's I found it to be such an obscure question. Another one that's great to ask is, hey, I just found a time machine and an unlimited supply of money. We're going to go back in time, and I can bring in any three artists or musicians to play for your birthday party this year, which we're really big at throwing big birthday parties here at Gorman Coaching. And I'm going to bring in any three musicians in all of history. What three bands and what's the order? Now you do that like when you're going to go out to eat with someone, you're going to spend a little more time. Dude, you will learn things in that piece of information, and you kind of see their brain ooze out of their ears a little bit, which actually lowers their defenses, which lets you ask more honest questions.
Yeah. Wait, I got a question.
Hang on, wait, time out.
Hold the phone.
Interject. Hang on. Brian, can you put these questions that you typically ask that are totally random, right? You don't need, it doesn't matter the job position, it doesn't matter what you're hiring for, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Can you put these questions into our chat so that way, we just have a few questions that are random, that are third party, totally off from
just shoot them to me in an email at some point.
Yeah,
and then I'll get them posted up.
Okay, so is it a good sign then that like a majority of the people I interview tell me that this is the most unconventional interview they've ever been in? So is that a good sign? Because I keep them like on their toes.
Depends. Are you strapping them to the ceiling in a sex?
Don't worry about my techniques. I get answers.
Not the ceiling. The lift is too expensive to run. Makes the diesel smell weird.
Tell me what you like.
Yeah, right.
Well, I have the casting couch in my office.
I'm just telling you, like, that's such a loaded question.
Here's what I love to do. And I especially with people who come in with a bit of the nose in the air, which we've all had those applicants, and you're like, all right, this resume looks okay. Hey, you know what? While I'm looking over the resume, go ahead and fill out the application. Right? And you hand them an application, and you watch over the paper as you're looking at the resume to see how fast they can fill it out. Because then okay, are they fluffing? Are they not fluffing? Do they just go, well, everything's right there on the resume? You know what I mean? Then are they shortcutting things? You know?
See my resume.
Yeah.
Please see resume. Please see resume. Yeah. To me, that's kind of the thing that I'm like,
Yeah. So
all right. We all have to stop. And,
if
read
Joe
this
and Steph
question.
were to get into a fist fight, who would win? And we all know that answer.
Steph, because
That's right.
Rich is really behind Steph, and
No,
he's
listen.
such.
You're wiry. You'd be like a little capuchin monkey, but she's coming at you with the hammer, bro.
I love that. That's so fair.
It sounds like we have an idea for the next charity event. Let's see if the Vixen will let us.
That's
host it.
right. Let's do it.
Small business boxing.
Clearly. Yeah, small
Yeah.
business. Can we? Oh, yeah.
CPAs
Brian, are you
versus
coming in on this?
lawyers.
Lawyers?
Yeah.
Oh, I would totally take a swing at a lawyer.
How many rounds? How many?
One.
All right.
One round.
So
Anyway, moving on.
all right. So let's move on and say, okay, we've got the resume that we like.
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Because let's face it.
Because we're talking about
fact
fact checking resumes,
Right.
Right.
So how much due diligence? And once you got the resume and the person's coming in, you set up the interview then, right? The interview's in a couple of days. What kind of fact checking do you do? What do you do with that resume, or do you not do anything until?
Well, in the past, I've done nothing,
Mhm.
and that was why we had the show topic,
Yeah.
because I need to know, like,
That's
am I
why
by
we're here.
myself on this island of stupidity, or
Yes.
is any other
No,
small
we've all-
business owner
wait.
like not fact checked and got burned?
No, we've all not fact checked. We've all gotten burned. I will say that. Brian, I'm pretty sure you've probably done the same thing in your past lives,
Never.
right?
I'm going to be that guy. I have never been burned in it before.
You're full of.
But my process is so intense. But the rest of my process, it takes
Is
so
it
long
like-
to get
wait.
through what I do. Like the
Brian,
other
is there-
interviews and the questions I ask. There's just so many little techniques. I've had the chance to do it a lot, and so I've seen so many. Dude, you want to see bad resumes? Try to hire a minister. Holy cow! And it's just an atrocity. It's like you are supposed to be a communicator by nature. What are you doing? But yeah.
So even before you started hiring for the ministry, like, you've never been burned ever. You've never received a resume that you thought, this dude will fly, or gal will fly, whoever it may be. I'm not being judgmental. And they just totally burned you? Never, ever, ever, ever.
I don't believe I've had a resume where the things that were on that resume, where I ended up making a hire. But again, there's so many things. What the resume is going to do for you is give you the capacity to ask the right questions, again, about the future, right? So if someone puts in their resume and they don't have any metrics or any success markers or anything they've actually done, there's good odds I'm not even going to bother with the phone call, right? They start.
Damn, you got a great outlook on resumes, because most
Tim.
people, I think that's really what the difference is between the view on most people and the view you have. Is your view is, hey, look, I'm going to take this resume and use it as the guide to my interview.
But everybody's interview question is this: tell me about a time.
That's it. That's what I'm saying, though.
Right?
They look at the resume and they look back on it and they go, all right, I'm still looking at your resume, but I'm going to look back and go, tell me about this. Tell me about that in your past. Brian is totally about, all right, I'm going to use this resume to propel what I want from you, or how I'm going to look at you and see you and talk to you.
That's why I hear Gorman coaching.
Well,
Gorman coaching.
I guess nobody has
coaching.
like lied so egregiously on their resume where they started doing the work and they were like, it was completely off base. I guess just
people have
where the
Yes,
fall
yes.
line came.
So I'm
saying in my experience, like people, I guess it's not necessarily that. I just don't know. I don't really know what my problem
a lot
is.
of people when I was interviewing, a lot of people called me doctor, That's because I had DR in front of my name, and it was short for drive. I want them to know I had drive, but they kept calling me doctor. Oh, so you're a doctor?
I'm pretty sure that's not allowed.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
But there's no period after the R, right?
Maybe
it was capital D,
Yeah.
capital R. It was not.
I was trying to tell him
D,
I got drive.
small R. Period.
Here's. And I like how Brian has put it is we're small business owners where we fail, and why I think we get chunked up on this resume is because then we're talking about their past. Tell me about instead of, hey, when you're working here in 6 months and you crap the bed, what happens?
That's why I really wanted to press.
Yeah,
Brian, I really want you to share with us. Kind of like those general. Yeah, send them in an email.
I pulled up a resume just a second ago as we're talking. I just pulled a resume up here for me that I just got done like recommending this person, right?
Yeah.
And so in this resume, they put like the first statement out of the gate when I'm looking at their work experience, they put overall financial aspects of controlling both districts in essence. And so once we got to that interview where I'm trying to see, can you do the job? And I went, on your resume, you put overall financial aspects. Talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old and tell me what that actually means.
That's literally, I just whispered kind of off to the side. I go, what the hell does that mean? Not that I don't know what that means, but what do you mean by that?
Right.
Yeah. So
I will often ask.
Question, but in my mind, in an interview,
Wait, what was their answer? I want to know.
What the fuck does that mean? But I'm not going to say it that way in an interview. So you're going to say.
So talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old. I'll tell people like, look, you may have to work. If let's say you're an accountant, right? It's not uncommon for the accountant to have to explain something to the CEO, and the CEO doesn't understand financial terms. So if you can't, this is an honest thing I do for accountants. I'll sit there and go, tell me what gross profit means, as though I'm a 5-year-old. And the reason I loved this particular candidate is this candidate went, okay. Do you know how when you go to like your toy box, you're going to have some action figure toys, and you're going to have some like toy cars, and you might have some trains. And she goes, and so when you have that, like you want to know how many cars you've got. So if you go to the store, do you want another car or do you want another train? And I went, I love you. Right up there in my mind, I'm like, you're the greatest person I've ever met for this job. Right? Because they answered it the way I asked them to answer it. But what that tells me is, can they in the future explain to me things I don't know and not talk down to me? Not belittle me, not repeat the same jargon they gave me before. Well, you got to know the SEO so that the CTO is going to be able to help make sure your AI is. I don't need another alphabet. Right.
I love that.
So talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old and explain this to me. And so it's a really common thing.
My wife has done that for 32 years to me.
Brian, how often do you do that in an interview? Like, is that really one of your like go-tos in the interview?
Every interview, I will ask that kind of question for something.
Huh.
I've asked people to explain things to me on their resume. I'm like, I work in accounting and I don't understand this phrase. Like, what?
Me being a 5-year-old, I think is the key difference, because I truly want somebody to be able to give it to me in quote unquote layman's terms.
You ever have somebody go, oh, okay, listen, you better stop your crying. I'm going to give you something to cry about. Now listen.
Yeah. Like,
get to your room, you little shit. Wait till your father gets home.
I'm going to tan your hide, kid.
Right, wait till your father gets home.
I'm sorry, I didn't know I had one of the stupid kids. Right? I don't.
Oh, he's on that side of the bell curve, huh?
But I'll ask, that comes up, and explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old, explain to me like I'm a 10-year-old. I ask that in so many interviews, but it'll oftentimes be based upon something that they've got in their resume or something that they should have access to in their knowledge base that I need for the job they're going to take. And then I ask a lot of, the whole tell me about a time stuff. I just think those are, I know they're in all of the books.
Yeah.
They're not good questions. Yeah. But if I sit on this particular one, this person has a degree in finance, and they're relatively young, so I'm able to sit there and go, I don't know that I've ever met a junior high kid that goes, one day I'm going to be a financial planner. Tell me why in the world you did that. Why would you make that choice for college? Right now, from there, they were able to tell me, oh, well, my family owned this thing, but I didn't really want to be involved in that. I really wanted to be involved in this. Now I'm going to learn about their values again, and I can begin to ask follow-up questions on that. Hey, now that you're out of college, where have you seen you've been able to use that? Where did that knowledge of your parents' background come into your present, which tells me about their future? So that's the kind of questions that I'm rarely asking you the question I actually want the answer to. Yeah. I'm asking you, I want to hear the answer behind your answer. That's going to tell me if you actually know how to do the job. Because at the end of the day, you're looking for two things. You want to know right person, right seat. Right? I need to know, do I want this person working with me? And then I can figure out, do I want them in this job? And I've hired people for a job I don't want them in, but I want that person on my staff, and I don't want anyone else to get to them first. So
my God, I just said I have a challenge, and that was the reason. My challenge is, what if I meet the perfect person and I just want to hire them? And so I've heard from a lot of people that are very big in many industries, hire the who.
Yes.
Figure out the what.
Yes.
Go ahead, Brian. You run.
I was just having a conversation with a client earlier this morning that I work with, and he's in the middle of a hiring process. And in that conversation with him, that was the exact same conversation. I said, look, any skill you can teach is irrelevant to the job you're hiring. Because I can teach you how to do this thing the way I want you to do it. But I can't teach you to be the kind of person I want to be around. So if I can teach the skill, that is not my concern. On occasion, if I need a person in a position like now, right? The organization is hemorrhaging and I need a person now, I may take a subpar person for the right skill set. But here's my problem with it just as a person. If I hire you for your skill set, not hire you as a person, I made you a commodity that can be disposed of. And that makes me a bad person. I'm getting rid of you
as soon as I can if I don't like you.
Yeah, that makes me a person I don't want to be and people I don't want to work with. When I start viewing you as a commodity, there is a problem in how I'm interacting with you.
This crowd was going wild.
The crowd agrees. So if you're hiring somebody in the knee-jerk reaction to get somebody in the door, you're going to find somebody that just fills that position. However, in my mind, and this is the way I've always hired or tried to push, is I find somebody out in society and I really like what they do. I go, oh, you need to work for me. Then I say, hey, you need to work for me. Then I keep saying, hey, you need to work for me. And then eventually
it gets creepy because he shows up in the backseat of their car and whispers and all sorts of stuff.
Come and work for us. So eventually I get people involved to just come and work for me. And I may not actually ask them for a resume. Is that okay?
I have hired a lot of, I teach my kids this all the time. I've got 4 kids and I'm always teaching them. Life is always about who you know, not what you know. It's kind of the old joke that, a friend of mine used to use this phrase, too much college, not enough high school. Because college is all about the information you know, but high school is about knowing who's sleeping with who. And that'll get you ahead a lot further. And you all right there, Jeff?
Okay.
But
right, I love that. Yeah, he almost spit out.
That's gonna get you so much further in life, is knowing how to kiss hands and shake babies. If something's gonna fall out of there, you're gonna get something great out of that.
Is what I
do. That is such a key component. I'm constantly teaching my kids, like, look, this is the most valuable commodity you can have. When I'm coaching businesses, I tell them the number one greatest resource you have access to is your email list, right? Your network is going to do everything. So absolutely, being able to have people that you can interact with. And I have hired, for me personally, I'd be willing to say more than half of the people I've ever hired in my career were people that I knew and just kept they were in a constant, once I thought they might be good, I'm in constant interview mode, because what I know is this: a winning team will only win because they have a good bench, not because they have great starters. Great starters can win a game. A great bench will win a season. And so if you don't have a bench for every single person on your team to know who they're going to be replaced with, or if you scale up who you're bringing who goes onto the court, like you're in trouble. You need a good bench. So you should be, in my opinion, every small business owner should be interviewing and in their mind, interviewing all the time. So you don't have to bother with the resume. You've already been interviewing them for 3 years. You're ready to go.
There you go. You ever do this one? I bring Joe in for an interview, and I said, let's just go over your resume. And I start reading Stephanie's resume to see if you start answering questions.
This
That's
is
a
like
great idea.
The oops resume.
I will now.
Right. So you looks like you've got some experience as a bookkeeper. Tell me about that.
Wait, now that you say that, I did do that a couple months ago. I was trying to hire an engineer position, and I had two of them like back to back, and I did do that where the dude's like, I never worked there. I'm like, well, it says right here. He's like, that's not my name. Oh, okay.
But he didn't live into it. So I've done it, and some people just, as bookkeeper, I'm like,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I'm
just
gonna
They
find
just
a
double
resume of a
down. They're
zookeeper.
like,
I didn't know. Yeah. What?
I would never ever have wrote out if somebody says, "Oh, so you did this?"
Yeah.
You were a retail shoe manager? Yes, I was.
Right.
I'll write it out if it's mine.
Right.
But if it's not mine, no.
Yeah.
so basically, the overall vibe of what I'm picking up on this whole thing with the fact checking of the resumes is that there's no real need to do that level of due diligence on somebody's resume that once was a thing, like with the references and the schooling and all of that, because if you ask the right questions and you have the right vision of where you're trying to go as a business owner or whoever, if I send you the candidate I'm looking for and they could articulate the vision and the plan to get me to where I want to be in 6 months, with them being by my side, there's more value in that than the like digging into their past and digging the resume through
Calling
and nitpicking it
referrals,
all
yeah.
out and all of that.
Referrals.
Like if we have our proper list of questions, we keep the vision and the path of the company in the front of the bus, then we should be able to get enough of a sense of this person's personality or work ethic or whatever it may be to determine if they would be a fit for that role to bring us to that next level.
30 minutes of background checking a resume can be solved in 15 minutes of a good phone call. You're wasting your time.
I love that.
Okay.
So now my question to you would be, in the interview or before the interview and you set it up, you have 12 resumes. Are you really, what's your biggest, besides obviously we talked gaps between how often they're in jobs, how long they're in a job for, what else do you look at that is a key factor on who you're going to be calling back or who you're going to be calling?
Yeah, that always comes down to the position I'm hiring for, right? So I try to write out for every position, there are I'll find 3 primary criteria. And when I mean criteria, I mean, it's like make or break criteria. I see a lot of places. I talk to small business owners, and you talk about their position and their so-called requirements. And they build out like 15 of them. Like, no, those aren't requirements. Like, look, do they have to have an education? Do they have to have a degree? Right? Do they have to have? Everybody puts in like, we want 3 years of experience. Is that a requirement or an idea? Right? If it's a requirement, let's make it a requirement. If it's not, then don't put it in there. Yeah. Right. You can find that out in the interview. Don't put it in there. It's a bad requirement. If I know what the top 2 or 3 requirements are, all I'm looking at on a resume is, can they show me those requirements? And at that point, I'm going to whittle out more than half of those resumes. Generally speaking, you give me 12 resumes, I'm going to have 4 that I'm going to want to call. And then here's my cheater method. And this is me. I have a Calendly link. Like, all of the stuff I run is Calendly. So if anybody wants to schedule time with me, right, they go to calendly.com/Gorman coaching. But one of the things in that Calendly, in my Calendly tree, my scheduler, is a 15-minute phone call. So what, I don't bother texting with them. I send them a link that says, schedule time for a 15-minute phone call with me. If you want the job, do the work. And in that, they have to
love
put in their
that.
phone number. So I know the phone number's right because they had to put in the phone number they want me to call at the time they scheduled for me to call. Then if I call them at the time they scheduled for me to call and they don't answer, dude, that ain't my fault. I learn a lot. I can whittle people out real fast because I don't, because especially in today's world, in people in like spam apply now with Indeed and all that stuff, like apply and apply and apply. And they didn't know what they applied for. So I'm going to whittle them out just as fast as they sent them.
I do the same thing. I'm a little more old school, I guess. I tell people, please email me your resume. Hey, because I get so many adults that come up and go, my kid needs a job.
Yeah.
Great. And this is kind of the same way I do that. What you do is it's the same thing. Great. Your kid needs a job. Have them email me their resume.
Yeah.
If I don't get that,
but this comes back to the fact checking thing, right? Think about that, right? If someone goes, my kid needs a job, whatever kind of piece of crap they put on that resume that they were just, I was in charge of the domestic necessities of a household. Like you wash the dishes once a week, like because your mom said so. Good for you, right?
To be honest, I love when they say I'm in charge of the domestic household duties of, logistics for, cutlery and yada yada.
In charge of sanitation. You take the trash out once a week, but that's cool because all they're really trying to do, again, it's what a resume is for. All you're trying to see is will they jump through the right hoops? Will they do the work? If they're not willing to do the work of filling out a resume, even if it means they had to get creative as to what they wrote, then I don't want them working for me either.
Amen. That's all I really want is send me a resume. You can't send me a resume and follow directions into my email. If a resume does not wind in my inbox and your mom texts me 2 days later after seeing me and goes, hey, you didn't call my kid. Yup, you're right. I did not.
Flamingo is watching.
Hey, Richie Flamingo.
Well, hello, Mr. Flamingo.
But okay, so I think we're gonna have a little extra time for the "What did you learn?" segment today, just because I want to share some of the nuggets from QuickBooks.
Yeah. Okay.
So Brian, what did you learn today? It could be either something from the green room or something during the show, or just a funny little tidbit you're taking away from the.
How awesome we are! What did you learn, Brian?
I really
come back.
I really did like.
If you want a minute to think about it, you can go first.
No,
I can go first.
I got you here. I really like the Kent. I really liked the reminder and that asking us a dumb question like superhero, right? That like what superhero do you want to be? Those are really great questions, and a lot of times I'm in such focused mode when I get into interview mode. I get so focused. I really appreciated that reminder. Like having a dumb question in your back pocket is a great way to figure out what's going on. I appreciated that. Yeah. And then that's a simple question. If you were a superhero, what one would it be? Is a great one.
So 3 things I learned today on the in the know with Steph and Joe. One is Joe creeps on people. Just simple as that. Yeah, constantly creeping on people.
So such a creeper.
Number 2, the resume is really the professional fluffer.
Do you know what fluffers are? Wait, do we all know what fluffers are here?
I think so.
Okay.
Everybody's
Behind the scenes, quote unquote, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Careful with the Google search on that.
That's right. And the next is have Brian and his team hire your next employee.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's going to be good. You can rely on that person. That's it.
All right. I'm going to say that 10 years does not equal 10 years of experience. That was a great little tidbit. 10 years of experience does not equal 10 years of experience. If it's 5 times 2 years, right? That's not 10 years of experience. I really love that little tidbit. And while I always look at it as, hey, I've been doing this for X amount of time. Yeah, well, how consistently have you been doing that, right? I really like that. That was a great point. So good point. Thank you, Brian. Go ahead.
Thanks.
So everybody knows I went to the QuickBooks conference the last few days in Vegas. Yeah. So anybody that uses QuickBooks Online, just to give you guys some updates that are coming down the pipeline, They are not making any new software updates for Essentials Plus, Self-Employed, or Simple Start. So anybody that has those packages, it's going to stay status quo. QuickBooks Advanced, though, they're going to be doing customized logins on a much more in-depth level. They're going to be doing better customized reports. And the QuickBooks Accountant will be getting some additional new features, which is going to be nice for me and my team. And QuickBooks is going to be launching their own payments thing. So they, in theory, are going to be losing integration with Melio and Bill.com. And you'll be using their platform for paying bills versus using those third-party platforms.
Wait, so Stephanie, wait, my brain is hurting from something you said a second ago that I'm trying to wrap my head around. You went to a QuickBooks conference?
Yeah.
In Las Vegas.
That sounds like it. If I was trying to figure out what purgatory would be like as an experience, that may have just been it. Like I have tried for a long time to be able to articulate. If I had to tell a 5-year-old what the worst image of hell might be,
It's a QuickBooks conference. It's a bookkeeping conference.
A QuickBooks conference in Vegas. You get to see all the shiny things, but you get to hang out with QuickBooks people. I mean, just the process.
Yeah. So
that.
it's 3 days of QuickBooks. So it's 3 days of education, 3 days of demoing apps, 3 days. You get CPE credits.
No.
But this is,
Look she is on fire too. She's like, she's in heaven.
She's so fired up.
Right.
She's so excited. This is the most excited she's been
I
in the entire show.
was text messaging Joe like the whole conference. Show idea.
She's
We should do this.
"Listen to this. I can't wait to do this idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss that show.
She's so fired up, Brian. I just have to be a conduit in between everybody.
I'm
Right?
still trying to wrap my head around QuickBooks conferences in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, we had this year we had Ryan Reynolds as our guest celebrity speaker. Yeah.
Shut up.
No,
How do they get somebody so good looking there?
Well, because he's such a big QuickBooks fan. You know,
he is the keeper. He is the keeper of the books.
Yeah. They had him and Adam Grant, who's a psychologist. But yeah.
Adam Grant, he was an 80s rock star. Oh, that's Adam Ant. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Don't know.
But-
Still don't know.
I
I was barely born.
know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So needless to say, the conference went really well.
So the conference was good, and Steph is really fired up about it.
I'm
she
excited
just
about these
glows
new
when she
things.
talks about it.
We should
Apparently-
conference wrap.
Apparently, this is the wrong audience. That's it. I'm gonna go ask my staff to come walk across the hallway so they can
You do the books for two of the people in this
share
room,
the excitement. So you know.
Yeah.
Brian, you're good, dude.
Since you're
still just cracking up here.
Since you're my bookkeeper, I find it fascinating because next thing you know, the IRS will be at my door. Oh, you don't think that was cool?
Oh, you didn't know, right?
I'm just trying to imagine the events you've got, and here we can do speed paper shredding. You guys are gonna love it. It's the greatest thing ever. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around that event.
Balancing balance sheets.
That's right.
Everybody stand on the teeter-totter.
That's right.
Yeah, like our party was called LIFO for last in, first out. You know.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, we had.
I've got a new highlight of the event. It's just you've helped me process through what a QuickBooks conference in Vegas is gonna be.
I just want to be a fly on the wall. How do these people party?
There was over 3,000
Let me
accountants
tell
there.
you.
Oh my god, that sounds like the most amazing wallpaper.
Let me.
3,000 accountants.
Yeah, and we were at the Marquee nightclub, and they have
Oh my god, was it hot?
Yeah, there was a pool inside the nightclub.
Did somebody jump in? No, you're all accountants. You're right.
Yeah,
Nobody jumped in.
Here's what.
Thank you, Brian.
Here's exactly what it
A
was.
minister would have jumped in.
Here's exactly what it was. Jerry. Hi, Bill. Jerry. Stan. Sally.
Everybody was over staff.
That's it.
Sorry.
That's it. This is the last time I share my
short joke.
QuickBooks
That
tips
was
with you
short
people.
What do you guys have? What are you guys having? Chicken.
Could you go light on the pepper? It burns my mouth.
That's right.
Did you go with the gosh. Oh, I went with the chicken.
Chicken.
I want to be safe. Risk free.
Oh my god, this is hurting my side.
God. All right, we're done. I learned that Steph gets very offended when we make fun of the quick.
I love her. Hey, you know what? Hey, and she's sitting here like, I hate all you guys, but I had the time of my life.
If we really want to see who's gonna win, just wait till 4 seconds from now when we walk out and she tackles me.
That's right. It starts pummeling both of us. That's right. Listen, here's the truth though. It was a great event, and she took her entire staff and they learned a lot, and she leveled up her business from it, which is huge, right? In all honesty, I marvel at your ability to do that, to plan that out and make it run as smoothly as you did with your entire staff. It's incredible. It really is. I can't even keep my calendar straight. She had it color coded.
Oh, you're talking about my itinerary that I made? You can't share that with
Man, you had that down.
Should we do a show on itinerary?
We should.
It was impressive. What happens
I'm
in Vegas shows up on the spreadsheet with the full itinerary for everyone to follow appropriately.
It was
color coded, and so
it was color coded.
It was every day was color coded. Every class was listed. Each employee had a different color.
Yeah.
Everybody knew where everybody was. Yes.
Let's get Brian. Don't say it, Brian. We loved having you on.
Listen. When it comes to all this accounting, I can't believe we're getting so fired up.
That's it. Listen, we are at the back end of this here. Next week is going to be Black Friday.
We officially fell off.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian.
Next week is Black Friday. We hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving from everybody here at In the Know with Steph and Joe. Brian Gorman from Gorman Coaching. We can't thank you enough for cutting out some time out of your day, busy schedule to be with us and just dropping some great knowledge and ideas. Really, really appreciate that. We'll have you back anytime you want to come.
Yeah, Brian, please share your info into the chat here while we may cut it off. The chat always does stay up, and then we'll spread it out for our.
Or email me and I'll get it in there. Either way.
Well, we definitely email with those general questions that you have. Doesn't matter the industry position.
Yep.
I want to know what you usually ask.
Here's the other thing. I had breakfast with Brian yesterday, and he said, I was telling him about the show. He goes, no, just act as if I'm 5 years old. And so I said, that's all the older you need to be for the show.
Right in the beginning of Steph and Joe. They're 5 as well.
That's right. You'd be fine. Right. Listen, can't thank everybody enough for hanging out with us here at In the Know with Steph and Joe. Brian Gorman from Gorman Coaching. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, Brian, how do they do that?
Easiest way is you can do email, which is brian@gormancoaching.com, or just go to gormancoaching.com, and there's some different ways for you to see what I'm up to and be able to click on a lot of the links there that will get you access to my Calendly and some other things so we can be able to talk.
Absolutely. Highly recommend it. For all of us, have a great Thanksgiving. We'll be back in a couple weeks. We're taking Black Friday off. You guys are going to be Black Friday.
We're taking Black Friday off.
Yep.
All right. Have a good one. Watch the rerun, though.
That's it. We'll see you. Thanks, folks.